welcome to the Liberty Mike podcast, broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the heart of Dixie. I am Michael, and I am here with Liberty Larry.
How's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
Drinking some mezcal.
Yeah. Reposado. It's one I found at the big warehouse liquor store in Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it there a couple of times. I like this one. I'm sorry that you don't like it so much.
It's not. I mean, I don't hate it, but
yeah,
I like the other one better. I think
the Del Maguey Vida.
Yeah,
that one you can buy pretty much anywhere.
Well, there's a reason. It's better.
I disagree. Maybe you just don't like aged.
I like mezcal. Like whenever we have mezcal, I'm like, ooh, mezcal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other one's unaged though. This one's aged lightly.
That may be what it is. Mm. I can taste the years.
I don't think it's years.
No, it's not.
Yeah, they don't age them like whiskey is aged.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, it probably spent 6 to 9 months in a barrel or something like that.
I can taste the months.
Okay. Well, too bad.
It's not bad. It's not horrible. It's just not. I like the other one better.
Okay. So you can buy the other one.
I might. I like the other one. This one ain't horrible, but it's not what I like. Could be better.
Okay. This is definitely better mezcal.
Okay.
I disagree with you.
Well, it's like I say, it's not horrible, but it's just, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I've always been accused of being a cheap drunk, so I guess this just...
Doesn't that usually mean that it just doesn't take a lot?
Yeah, well, that, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Oh. Well, anybody's a cheap drunk in that sense.
Yeah, well...
Like, anybody can get drunk on cheap booze.
Yeah, but most choose not to.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, actually.
Just some Thunderbird.
And then spend the rest of the night pulling the grape peels from between your teeth. Yeah,
that's how you know it's good. You get a little snack with it.
Gross. Okay. Well, we have some, I guess, additional news, more news, or news that was really out, I guess, on Friday when we recorded last time, but we didn't we didn't know enough about it to really talk about it.
Yeah.
So there's more information on the Gaza peace deal, and I will say right from the start, you got to give Trump credit. No matter what you think of the guy, he brought an end to this, at least for now.
Yeah.
And this is probably going to stick a little better than the last one because he's so intent on it.
Yeah, so Trump does have this way, he just kind of wheels things into action.
Yeah.
He didn't do it all the time, but with certain things, the Iran thing was the same way. He just forced this into, well, he started it to start with, so that was a problem. Mm. But when he decided to end it, he forced it into ending,
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Forced what into ending?
The bombing campaign of Iran. When we went in and bombed, and then the Israelis were coming and bombing, and
the Israelis started bombing. I mean, they were bombing before we
got involved. Yeah. But like I say, just the way he ended that, just willing it into action,
mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's trying to do that with this peace deal as well. Just just all the chips are in. This is what we're doing,
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't think that it'll really last. But
they never do.
Yeah, it's at least a start. I mean, for those of you that are now there's a real ceasefire here. We can trust Israel to honor a ceasefire. Israel has a ceasefire in Lebanon right now. And if they had one of those signs that said, X number of days since last we were bombed by Israel, it wouldn't get past 1.
Yeah, it'd stay at 0.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So and there's already, there's reports right from the very beginning of the ceasefire that IDF killed Palestinians in Gaza here. IDF killed Palestinians in Gaza there. So
Yeah. It's not,
we'll see.
It's not really, but it's better than it was.
Yeah. And there's already been grumbling from Israel about, well, they said that they were going to return all the remains of the hostages that had died too, and they haven't done that, so they've already broken their deal. And even the White House was like, no, we had plans in place for this. We didn't expect them to be able to find all the bodies under the rubble in 2 days.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Is it was very open when the first reporting came out that the hostages were going to be released within like a couple of days, which happened, and then that it was going to take longer to find the remains. Like that was the first reports on this. That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
So it's not like that. This was like some shocker that it took longer to find. That was going to take longer to find the remains.
Yeah, I know. It's just grumbling from the Israelis.
Yeah.
And if you pay any attention to like translations of Jewish TV, which I come across from time to time because I'm a junkie, the leadership in Israel is already talking about when they start this up again.
Yeah.
Like they say, oh, well, and they've even made some concessions because of Trump, essentially, about like, oh, well, I don't think it'll start up quite as quickly as the last time.
Yeah.
That we had a ceasefire earlier this year when it lasted 3 days before Israel started bombing again or whatever. Yeah. So the expectation, I guess, is at least that it will hold a little bit longer. And that may just be because Israel's kind of worn out at this point. They've been fighting in Gaza for 2 years, and they've had their war in Syria and Lebanon and Iran all during that time too.
Yeah.
And they may need more of a break before they're prepared to finish the job or whatever.
Yeah.
The plan is in Gaza. They certainly haven't achieved what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they wanted the complete eradication of Hamas.
Oh, well, that's stupid. What they want is they want all of the Palestinians out of what they consider to be Greater Israel.
Well, yeah, that too.
So, and that didn't happen. And, but Trump, he got everybody on board. I mean, not everybody, but like it seems like he went out and he was like, look, I want this thing to be over. Talking to the Arab states, and I'm saying, look, I want this thing to be over. You don't want Israel in there, so you're going to have to step up.
Yeah. Which at least makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for a real solution here, at least that's sniffing up the right tree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if they have like Emirati or Egyptian or other Arab state troops in Gaza as peacekeepers, it makes it a lot harder for the Israelis to start things up again too.
Yeah.
Because they may have no problem, like, using tanks against kids with rocks in Gaza, but if there's other states' actual military forces, it complicates matters.
Oh, yeah, because now you're talking about war with that potential state.
Yeah. Not that they can't handle it, honestly, but...
No, but, I mean, but do they want it?
Yeah. So I think I'm glad that it's at least ended for now. Yeah. I'm glad that the hostages got returned. I think you have to give credit to Trump for this, even the people that absolutely hate him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can overlook this as being a significant win.
Oh, exactly.
Now, if he can just end things in Ukraine. There's talking about high-level meetings with the Russians again, so...
Yeah, he was supposed to meet with Zelensky this week, right? Is that today?
I think it's today, yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard anything about it, but I've been working all day, so I hadn't...
Well, there was the big phone call with Putin, which was Wednesday or yesterday, I don't remember.
Okay.
And... of course, Trump always comes out of these things saying, oh, it was very positive. I see, things changing, and I think we're close to a deal, but it doesn't seem like he really understands what it is that Putin wants.
Yeah.
So he keeps saying we're close to a deal when he clearly has not agreed to Putin's core terms that he's never wavered on. So
the problem is Ukraine's not ready for a deal. Like at the end of the day, I think Trump is, interested and wants to end it, and I think Putin's probably in the same boat.
Yeah.
But the concessions have to come from Ukraine.
Well, maybe, but it wasn't. It was just recently, like just before this meeting, that Trump was talking about, well, I don't understand. Putin just doesn't want to end it. And he's losing his own people, and he's just got this killing's got to stop, and Putin just needs to put an end to this here. And if he doesn't put an end to it, then we've got a lot of tomahawks and etc.
Yeah.
Of course, and the Russians have responded to that and said, okay, tomahawks won't make a difference on the battlefield, but they will make a difference in our relationship with the United States.
Yeah.
And I know that Zelensky's coming over here, like expecting to get tomahawks now.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't think that will happen after the phone call with Putin, because there's no way that.
I'm sure Putin in that call would have had to lay out exactly what the repercussions and what that's going to do to the relationship.
Yeah.
If that happens.
So I suspect Zelensky will be disappointed again.
Yeah, well, we hope.
Which is good, because, anything more that we give him just means his losses are greater. Like the losses of Ukraine are greater before this ends.
Exactly.
I don't know. Of course, Trump has gone on again about how he should have gotten the Nobel Prize, and
yeah, he's really salty about that.
He does mention it a lot.
A lot.
It's almost like as frequent as he mentions how terrible Biden was.
Yeah, it's
almost.
It's like those two things.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because the whole Nobel Peace Prize is a throwback to Obama getting it anyway.
Yeah, that's really what it's at. Obama got the Peace Prize, and I didn't. He didn't. Yeah. Like Obama started 5 new wars, and I haven't done that. At least we have a president that's proud of not starting new wars. Of course, he's starting new wars. They're just not calling them wars. We'll get to more of that later, but. The person who did receive the Nobel Peace Prize is Maria Corina Machado, who's the opposition leader in Venezuela.
Ah, well, that's convenient.
Yeah. And her...
How does an opposition leader get a Nobel Peace Prize? Exactly what did she do to earn that?
She's standing up for democracy in an authoritarian state or whatever.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Immediately after getting the Peace Prize, like she used it to her advantage. I mean, she used it to kind of stoke the flames of war between the U.S. and Venezuela. She immediately turned around and started stroking Trump's ego and, dedicating the Nobel Prize to him because he deserved it. Thanks for the U.S. support for her cause in Venezuela and so forth. So, and that cause, of course, is to overthrow the existing government of Venezuela.
I mean, that's where I'm lost. I get democracy's great and whatnot, but if you're,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know
that too.
There's definitely questions about that, but I know I'm just talking kind of in mainstream normal conversation. Democracy's always the good guy, and authoritarian governments are always the bad guy. And even if you believe that, you're not going to give the Peace Prize to somebody that's trying to overthrow another government.
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, it just seems maybe if they're successful and things are better, after a few years, I could see then, but not during the process. It seems like it's just premature.
Yeah, I agree. But here's the other part of that is that, first off, she uses it to kind of try and instigate the U.S. of intervening militarily in her country.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, on Trump's side of it, because he's already conceded, well, I suppose the things that I've been doing, they're really for next year's Nobel Peace Prize, the one he expects to get. And as long as he's campaigning for next year's Nobel Peace Prize, I think that he probably looks at, and I'm sure that people are telling him that overthrowing Maduro would be another feather in his hat in that campaign.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on who's doing the grading. Like I say, my thing is like you go in and you overthrow it. Things do have to be better on the other end of that.
Yeah.
To get the prize. Like
they called this period the Pax Americana.
Yeah.
America's peace over the last however many decades.
Yeah.
Like this is not an unusual term to hear bandied about.
Yeah.
It seems to me that we've done nothing but cause war all over the place. Like we have destabilized
but it's small wars.
Sure.
Small little like contained wars. It's not a world war.
Yeah. Well, we've destabilized every continent except our own. That's not even true.
I was going to say, don't go there because that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's getting the wrong lessons from these, and I've got a clip to kind of illustrate this. So let's play this clip real quick.
All right.
We dropped 14 bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally, as I said originally, obliterating them. And that's been confirmed, and everybody understands it. Together we stopped the #1 state sponsor of terror from obtaining the world's most dangerous weapons. And if you think about it, if we didn't do that, and assuming we made the same deal that we have today, there'd be a dark cloud over this deal. And #1, it wouldn't happen because the other Arab and Muslim nations really wouldn't feel comfortable making the deal that we have now, right? If Iran had that nuclear weapon.
Okay, so wrong lesson taken, it seems to me. His point there, I know it's hard to follow Trump sometimes, but so he didn't say this in the cleanest way, but his point there is that they wouldn't have been able to secure the Gaza peace deal if they hadn't dropped bombs on Iran.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Is that the deal he's talking about? Because I actually thought he was talking about the Iran deal.
No. He's talking about the Gaza deal.
Okay. I misinterpreted that. Either way, it's the wrong lesson. I mean, it's not right either way, but that way I had interpreted it was that was the deal that we couldn't have a peace deal with Iran with that maybe still having weapons because he emphasizes the fact that they were definitely destroyed. Like everybody knows.
Yeah, but of course even our own intelligence services are saying that they don't think that it happened. But I want him to keep promoting the idea that their capacity was completely destroyed because that takes the excuse for any additional military action off the table.
I agree with that, but at the same time, if the powers that be decide it's time to go back into Iran, the rhetoric will just start up again.
Yeah. Well, it's more about keeping Israel out of Iran, I think.
That
right
may
now.
be true, yeah.
But there's...
Because if they're not in Gaza, they got to go somewhere.
Right. I mean, it's the same kind of problem that the U.S. military is dealing with, right?
Exactly.
If you don't have a big war to fight somewhere, you got to fight a war. You got to find something.
Yeah. What are we going to do with all these soldiers?
And we're going to start focusing on domestic terrorism. That's what we're going to do. We're going to deploy 30,000 U.S. military troops to cities in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll get to that, though.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of problems with that. First off, of course, there's the evidence that we destroyed their nuclear capacity is really non-existent. The idea that Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terror, they've been saying this for decades and decades and decades. There's not really evidence for this either. There are groups that are aligned with Iran in the sense that they are Shia groups.
Yeah.
All over the Middle East.
Yeah.
That, they probably get moral support from Iran. I think that there's little evidence, for example, that the Houthi get any kind of real military or economic support from Iran anymore. Yeah. That the Palestinians get any military or economic support for Iran. We should actually pay attention to how weird that one is because the Palestinians are primarily Sunni. Okay. And we've tried to stoke this I say we. In this case, I don't mean the United States specifically, but the West in general, mostly Great Britain in this case, have tried to stoke animosity between the Shia and the Sunni for decades.
Yeah.
For like a century, actually. And the fact that that Shia Iran supports the Sunni Palestinians people should take note, I guess,
Yeah.
of the significance of that if we think that these two factions hate each other so much.
Yeah.
But they don't hate each other so much that they won't support each other in the face of like an outside group.
Right. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
And honestly, and I know like there's going to be people that are like, why are you always attacking America? I would bet that if you based this idea of who's the biggest state sponsor of terror on which country spends the most money supporting insurrections or opposition groups, violent opposition groups in foreign countries.
Oh, there's a champion. There's one champion on that in that department.
And it seems to me that that's your best definition of sponsoring terror groups.
Yeah, it's always wild to me because the argument is, well, we have to do these things to maintain the peace, like worldwide, like across the planet. And it's like, dude, like that. All we're doing is stirring it up, so we can use our military to fix it.
To sell weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's to privatize public funds.
Yeah, yeah.
Into military contractors primarily.
Yeah.
So, and the Gaza deal and the Iran bombing are actually like unrelated.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to do with each other.
Which is the reason I thought that he was talking about one and not the other, because like they're not really the same thing.
No, but that is what he's saying. He's talking about getting the other Arab states on board and so forth. Like,
I mean, I get it, but
like they would have felt. And then, of course, the most important point in all of that is that Iran was never building a nuclear weapon anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
There's absolutely zero evidence to support the idea that Iran was building a nuclear weapon. They've denied it. There's a fatwa against it. The intelligence agencies agreed that they weren't working on it. And like any of those pieces of information taken separately, like, okay, maybe you don't trust it, but like all of that stuff together,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that that's a strong case that they weren't actually working on a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
So this is just like another example of, so Trump achieved a semblance, at least, of peace. And his lesson from it is, it was because I was so militaristic and aggressive towards this other nation that I was able to do this.
I bullied them into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is just, this is another thing, like, especially with the Iran issue generally. This is another example of him congratulating himself for solving a problem that arose from decisions that he made earlier.
Yeah.
We talked, I think it was last week, we were talking about the migrant crisis that he used as his like most important bludgeon against the Biden administration was in significant part a result of the Trump first term destabilizing Venezuela so completely. Yeah. I mean, one of the big issues that came up over and over and over again was the Venezuelan migrants and the Venezuelan gangs. And the reason that all those people poured out of Venezuela up through the isthmus into the United States is because we destroyed their nation's economy.
Yeah, no, we did. We talked about that early in the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, then he like steps in and he solves the migrant crisis, and he's proud of himself for solving the migrant crisis that the previous administration couldn't deal with. But the previous administration was only having to deal with it because of his first administration.
Yeah, he would argue, though, had he won a second term, he wouldn't have let those people come across the border because we would have had strong border controls. And I believe that.
Yeah, there's some truth to that too, but there still would have been a pretty severe migrant crisis for him to deal with.
Yeah, it just may not have been coming through over the fence.
Yeah,
but it still would have been a problem for Mexico and
there were so many
else.
people coming over, they couldn't have stopped. I mean, we've got a huge porous border with Mexico. Like the number of troops that it would take stationed in the United States to actually cover that border is unreal. It's like the idea of Ukraine trying to cover the whole line of contact, and we don't, and we'll talk about this more too. Like, we don't want those troops here.
Well, no, that's
the other thing.
That's the other. That is the other half of that.
But the Iran issue is the same way. He's the one that tore up the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal.
Exactly.
That Obama negotiated.
Yeah.
Trump's the one that tore up that deal and made it possible for Iran to enrich uranium to 60 whatever percent that they got to. Yeah. That original deal that Obama negotiated, the limit was like 3 point something.
Yeah.
They could enrich to. And they had regular inspections and so forth. And here's another problem with what Trump did. So now there are no inspectors in Iran.
That's what I was going to say is the whole, like when you had them in that deal, you had inspectors there, you had the groundwork to control the situation. Mm-hmm. And by leaving that deal, like you walked away from that.
Yeah. I mean, they still had inspectors for a while, but now he's going to say that they got to go in at some point. They're going to have to go in and deal with Iran again because they're surely developing nuclear weapons because they won't let our inspectors in, but they threw our inspectors out because we bombed them.
Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah. And this is a long line. This isn't unique to Trump, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
There's a long line of government taking credit for solving a problem that they caused in the first place.
Exactly.
But this is the president that we have right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And these are current issues that he's still making mistakes on.
Yeah.
And speaking of Venezuela anyway, we may as well spend a little bit more time on this because the drums of war are beating.
Yep.
It's, the excuse of dealing with narco terrorists. And again, like the idea that you can just apply the name terrorist to anybody and that absolves you of any consequences for any actions that you take against them as president, or like completely unbinds you to the law because you call them terrorists is... I hate seeing you make that face when you drink the mezcal, man. It's
sorry.
Terrible. I shouldn't even poured it for you. You should be sitting there with water.
I poured this myself. I'll have you know.
And Venezuela senses it too. Like they
they're
see
not
it's
stupid.
coming. And Venezuela offered a complete diplomatic capitulation to the United States.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning of this, or not that long ago, Venezuela, Maduro offered the United States future oil and gold contracts would be open to U.S. companies with preferential contracts.
Yeah.
And they offered to realign their their energy economy with or towards, I guess would be the right preposition there, the U.S. instead of China, Russia, and Iran.
Yeah.
So right now they're selling most of their oil, like they're dealing with all these energy contracts, energy resources, and so forth. They're trading with Iran, Russia, and China.
Yeah.
And they offered to limit the energy resources to go to those countries and realign to sell more to the United States.
Yeah. And why do we have a problem with that?
Because he doesn't care about America first. Trump is not the great economic negotiator because that would be a good deal for the United States.
Yeah.
They're more interested in military action and overthrowing this government, probably mostly because of Rubio. Rubio's the big Venezuela hawk.
That's right. I forgot you got Rubio in there.
I mean, but this is just my example that like he's not just trying to achieve peace. He doesn't actually care about these groups, and he doesn't care about you either.
Well, yeah.
Like the great negotiator had a great deal on the table to improve our economic situation vis-a-vis energy and Venezuela specifically, and really bring things down with Venezuela.
Yeah.
But he would rather overthrow the government.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Yeah. Or fight drugs or whatever. I mean,
but we know that the drug thing is just a way in to overthrow the government. Like that, they're using that. And
everybody really should be concerned about this, like using the U.S. military openly against the cartels.
Yeah.
Now, I know that this isn't entirely new, and I should point out that all of these things that Trump's doing that are terrible, he's using precedents set by previous presidents.
Yeah.
That was a weird sentence. But yeah, precedents set by previous presidents to do. He's not like discovering new territory in this way. Like he's not going out and doing things that
have never been done before.
Yeah. That said, like openly using the U.S. military to fight the drug trade is new.
Yeah.
Like we've certainly had intelligence down there. I mean, the CIA has been interacting with the cartels forever because they have to, make sure that they control their own business.
Yeah.
Certainly there's been spec ops and so forth going after cartel leaders and so on in the past.
Yeah.
I know that that's true, but we haven't been just like bombing.
I was going to say using our bombers on them seems like that's a new development.
Yeah, there's a big difference between using the Air Force and the Marines and using special operations and the intelligence services.
Yeah.
One is just a more naked aggression.
Yeah.
I don't approve of either one, but this is a step forward.
Yeah.
And everybody should be concerned about this. Like we do not want. I mean, so now you have him deploying U.S. military forces to American cities. Maybe not in large numbers, although, like I said, most recently I've seen that between the Guard and an actual military, like I say actual military, Guard is actual military, but like full-time military, there's been something like 30,000 troops deployed to various cities in the United States. That's significant.
That's a lot of manpower.
Yeah. We don't want the military enforcing domestic U.S. law here or abroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like, first off, the U.S. has no legal power to enforce domestic law abroad.
Yeah.
Even in international waters.
Yeah.
And we just don't want a new precedent set that it's okay for presidents when they're unhappy with how cities are being run, deploying their military as like their own personal police forces.
Yeah, no, that's got danger written all over it. Just the idea of having the military so I'm curious, like what exactly are these, are they doing in these cities? Like I know he keeps deploying them to try to fight crime, but I mean, they're not like out investigating crimes.
I mean, officially they're there to protect federal officers. Yeah, in those cities.
Because I remember originally that was what the intent was.
But there are plenty of domestic federal law enforcement agencies that they could be sending to do this stuff instead of sending military men.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
And I don't approve of that really either, but there's a significant difference. The training have already been complaining. Different. Yeah, we have already been complaining about the militarization of law enforcement in this country for a long time. That the officer friendly, the beat cop, the local community cop is long gone. Now you got these militarized, you have militiamen standing on the corners instead with SWAT gear and submachine guns, and like this is a very different thing.
Oh, yeah.
And most of that's been done in the name of the drug war. which hasn't prevented drugs from coming into this country at all. It's a huge industry because people want drugs. Nobody's having drugs forced upon them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I have, as a libertarian, I have a problem with criminalizing a voluntary activity anyway.
Yeah.
Right. But over time, this has become the standard in the United States. We have a completely militarized law enforcement. Like you talk about the scary police state, this is what we're moving towards. This is another step in that direction. And everybody should be concerned about it. And for those of you out there that are listening that are on the right that approve of what Trump's doing, trying to take control of these cities in Portland and Chicago and whatever. Yeah. And I understand your instinct that like, oh, well, we need the law enforced in these places and these people aren't doing it. Think about when the next guy has this power that's now been set by Donald Trump. Exactly. And think about how angry you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever when all those reports were coming out about the Obama administration using the IRS to target right-wing groups.
Yeah. I mean, I just go back to COVID and the craziness that was enforced during that with the lockdowns and stuff. Now, that was all mostly coming from the states, but even still, like like you don't want that power in either party's control.
Yeah. And there is a lot of talk out there that this is a setup for the upcoming election.
Yeah.
And I understand the concern. Now, I think that it's probably hyperbole, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if he uses this militarization of law enforcement to, I don't know, coerce or try and manipulate elections for important seats in the upcoming
I don't put anything 2026 election past anybody. I don't think that he's not some angel.
Like I don't think that that's coming, but I wouldn't be totally surprised, and I understand the concern.
Yeah, you can understand where it's coming from.
Yeah,
and to me there is a fine line, like particularly with the ICE agents, because there's been a lot of people upset because he's sending them into those sanctuary cities where he knows that the local police and whatnot aren't enforcing immigration law. So you send in ICE to do that. And I don't as much have a problem with that as I do like just the National Guard or the military. Because I mean, it is a problem when you have cities and areas that are like, oh, well, we're just not going to enforce immigration law. So then then you have all these people there and, I mean, they're creating their own problem, but at the same time, I can at least sympathize with that a little bit. But the National Guard and the military, like, no, like that's not. I don't even understand, like I say, what they would be doing other than just like causing trouble.
Well, I mean, they're at least creating flashpoints for domestic violence.
Yeah,
I don't mean domestic violence like guys beating their wives.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, like
violence in the cities.
Yeah.
They're a tripwire.
Yeah.
And they are a target. And if they're a target, then it could spark something bigger.
Exactly. Which gives more reason to send more in, and it's just like this feedback loop that you always get with government.
Yeah. Well, we've got to solve this problem we created.
Exactly.
And that actually reminds me, like we were talking about the violence, the willingness to engage in political violence in this country rising. I mean, this is another one of those things that could be a flashpoint to like a bigger conflict.
Yeah.
But there was something that I meant to talk about then that I may as well talk about now, because I think it's important to our outlook on this. We got a dislike on the YouTube I saw. For the last episode. They didn't explain what it was that they disliked, but maybe it was
maybe they don't like to listen to people who are right.
Maybe it was a liberal teacher that was like, all right, who knows? But there's another part of it just besides my general thesis that if you're not capable of expressing your ideas verbally, then you have limited options at the very least.
Yeah.
And that violence is one of them.
Yeah.
To express yourself. But there's like part of it is just this increased tribalization in this country, the what has become like a deep-seated animosity between the two major political factions in this country.
Yeah.
People on the ground. I mean, the politicians pretend to hate each other, but I'm sure that they go out and have beers afterwards and so forth and laugh about how they've duped the American people.
That used to be the thing that like it was always kind of known that it was always kind of political theater, but behind the scenes, these guys were all friends. And that was like viewed as a positive thing. I don't know that that's so much the case anymore. But like you think back to the 90s, like that was absolutely how politics ran.
Yeah.
We're just enemies on the Senate floor, but behind closed doors we go to dinner and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, you always heard those stories, and that doesn't seem like that's the case anymore.
Oh, maybe not.
But
I would actually feel better if it was.
Yeah, I mean it's still theater anyway, but I don't think it's quite like that anymore.
Yeah, they're not friendly so much anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. That may be true. But I think that another part of this is just the way we tell stories in the West.
Yeah.
I think this is an important point. And it may bring me around to why we will never do video on this podcast too. But but at least to start with, like the way we tell stories in the West, the way stories are formulated in the West is that you have a clear delineation between good and evil.
Yeah.
And the story is resolved when the evil gets its comeuppance, really.
Yeah.
When the evil pays the price for their evil deeds, that's when the story ends. That's the resolution of stories generally in the West. And like think of the Disney films. I mean, there is no nuance in this. The antagonist in Snow White is literally named the Evil Queen.
Yeah, that's what she goes by.
The antagonist in 101 Dalmatians is Cruella de Vil. Mm-hmm. And whether you think that your children at 4 or 5 understand the Cruella pun or not, it's very clear to them that she's a bad guy by the way she looks and dresses and everything else. And that's how...
She wants to make puppies into coats.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But so did Mr. Burns. Oh, wait, he's evil too.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's not like he's a good guy. Like.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is how we form stories in this country, and we create a clear delineation between good and evil, and there's no nuance about it. And the evil people are just genuinely evil. And I've always said that I prefer characters in stories. I prefer that when the antagonist, I find them scarier as a bad guy if they believe that they're doing good.
Yeah, and have an argument for it, and like can illustrate an argument why they think they're right.
Yeah, and Eastern stories are more nuanced. Yeah. Like oftentimes the antagonists are people that are trying to do good and actually are doing good for some group of people at the expense of others, but they're, or maybe they're taking a pragmatic pathway to a greater good, but it's causing hardship in the intervening period, or like
I don't know. I mean, I think Thanos was right. Snap your finger and destroy half the.
That's actually not a bad example of a character that believed that he was doing good.
Well, that's the reason I bring it up.
And had an argument for why, and historical examples of how it had worked out.
Exactly. Like, I mean,
but that's not.
It's still different
that's a
than
more
what
advanced.
you're.
That's a more advanced storytelling. What do you call it? Paradigm.
Yeah.
In the West, especially early on, stories are very clear one side and the other side.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that that's ingrained in us. Like this is actually how we learn morality in a lot of ways. Morality is learned through literature.
Yeah.
Like that's what fairy tales and all this stuff is about, is to give you a story, and this is as old as humanity. To teach lessons in this way.
Yeah.
And so I think it becomes like a part of our outlook. And so I think that has led in a lot of cases, especially with people that haven't continued to read and so forth as they get older,
They didn't get to Thanos.
yeah, that aren't exposed to more advanced or more nuanced stories in that way. And also the visual medium, like as long as you keep bringing that up, it's really more about the visuals than the story. I doubt that most people that are watching those Marvel films are thinking about stuff that deeply. They're just like, oh, that looks awesome. That's how
I've definitely heard a lot of people review movies by how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
And so I get your point.
Yeah. So, but if you've continued to read more advanced stories and you get to exposed to more nuanced ideas of good and evil, and it also, like, reading gives you this opportunity to empathize in a deeper way with a lot of people. And like, there are some stories out there that you're reading and your narrator turns out to be the bad guy. And you didn't realize until some point in the story, you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
That took a turn.
Is this guy the bad guy? I've been identifying with him the whole time. Like, so anyway, my point is this, is that I think that lack of more advanced literature, that, like, people being stuck in kind of the basic Western ideas of how stories are formulated, has resulted in some sense in the increase in tribalism and the demonization of the other side, because you start to develop this idea that that's the way it works, that there's a clear delineation between good and evil. And if you're not on my side, you must be the bad guy, because nobody believes that they're the bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously the Republicans. They're the ones, like, they're trying to destroy this country.
Yeah. And vice versa.
And then exactly. So guess what? They're both trying to destroy this country, and it's working.
Yeah, that gives us libertarians a really interesting position that we end up taking. I think, like, when I'm somebody who's hard left wing, I bet that they leave these political conversations, thinking that I'm some kind of MAGA, Trump supporting, like, crazy right winger.
Yeah,
but if I'm talking with a right winger, I bet they walk away from those conversations thinking that I'm some Obama bot, crazy progressive left wing lunatic.
Exactly.
And the reason is because what I end up spending my time doing in all of these political conversations is trying to make people realize that their side isn't so good either.
Yeah, exactly. But then they just categorize you on the opposite side,
right?
So.
And they need to recognize that I'm the good guy.
Right. Exactly. Libertarians are the good guys.
But I thought that was important to bring up. I mean, I think that that's, like, an important, like, cultural aspect of how we of our worldview.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. That's really all I've got for tonight.
No.
Is there anything more that you wanted to talk about?
No, I didn't.
I think we're missing something important that I kind of wanted to bring up, but I can't think of what it was, and I didn't make any notes about it. So, that's
probably have to get to it next week then.
I suppose so. All right. Well, we haven't. Oh wait, we don't know if we have an upcoming convention now, do we?
Yeah, the dates are kind of up in the air.
Dang. Well, we were supposed to have the Baldwin County, Alabama Libertarian Party convention Sunday week, the 26th, at the Beef O'Brady's in the Spanish Fort at some time of day. I don't remember what.
Like 1 o'clock.
Okay. That may be in flux.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's worth announcing, even though I just announced it.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. We have one more podcast between now and then.
And I'm sure we'll have a date by then. It sounds like we're going to toss it around a little bit, though. That date just doesn't seem to... It's just a bad date.
Everybody agreed a couple of months ago, and now nobody can make it.
Yeah. Well, busy people, busy lives.
I suppose. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean. I'm pretty excited that we came in, like, right about 50 minutes instead of just over an hour this time. Like, I've been...
Yeah. Kind of ruled it in.
Yeah, trying to cut back to that old 50-minute line, which is what we used to aim for, and
Yeah.
now it gets out of hand a lot.
Yeah. That's all right, though.
People have short attention spans. They can't read a whole book.
Yeah, but they're listening.
Once again, taking on the old adage of the best thing to do is to insult your audience. And but you can follow us on all those places. In between watching YouTube shorts, you can listen to our podcast. If you find more time, you can always stop and start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I find this a good car listen.
Yeah. If you have a commute, good time for the Liberty Mike podcast.
Yep.
But like and share, comment, subscribe. You can always email me at michael@thelibertymike.com. Love to hear from you guys. And I guess that's all the things. So we'll be back next week when we finally get this right. And in the meantime, try to stay free.
Life short, live free.
Ciao.
Later.